Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil. I do apologize, I took a little bit of a break over the Easter holiday. I hope you guys had a fantastic Easter, and I just wanted to take some time to spend with family and kind of recharge my batteries a little bit. March took a really heavy toll on me just from like a personal perspective, so I wasn't able to put as much effort into content creation, so I do apologize. We're going to start April off here with our account update for March 2024. So like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know your thoughts. Let's get into the video. What did we do this month? So we made a lot of good progress. The big thing that I've done here on my actual farms tab is I've rearranged it a little bit. So we're going to start off with heavy Kyrotech here in Tarful and Saw Gerrera. I should have done this for Marin last year and I did not. So I'm calling out that, yes, I didn't take them to relics, but I invested a lot of Kyrotech here. And because I invested a heavy amount of Kyrotech, I felt it was worth putting them on this list. So, heavy Kyrotech for Tarful and Saw Gerrera, getting ready for that Jedi Knight Cal Kestis event. I also took my Enfys Nest from Relic 4 to Relic 5. Again, I know it says R3 to R5, but for her, it was an R5. So, she was a new Relic 5, just something that I was like, man, kind of sitting at this weird level, I'm just going to bump you up because I can. I also did 2 new Relic 7s in Beskar Armor Mando and Sith Assassin. Both were Relic 6. I moved them to Relic 7. For Beskar Armor Mando, this was one of those decisions where I need him at Relic 7 for Bo-Katan Mandalore, and he's just kind of been this, I don't want to say pain or thorn in my side, but it was just like, it's time to move him up. And for Sith Assassin, it actually wasn't to make climbing easier or, like, this wasn't because, like, my fleet, like, this did not change how I climb in Fleet Arena. It's more to stop me from falling outside of my payout. One of the problems I was seeing is people with Relic 7 Leviathans were hitting me after my payout and like way before their payout just to kind of arrange themselves. So it's kind of just a middle finger to my fleet shard because there's just a lot of guys who I felt were being unsporting, right? That's the best way to put it, is unsporting. So Relic 7, again, I'm not taking her. I will not go to Relic 8. I don't think it's worth it. Like, I'm waiting for that next fleet to separate me from the rest of the boys that are in that fleet shard. No new Relic 8s this month. And then we also finally did get Jedi Knight Cal Kestis to Relic 7. He's got mods, all 3 Zetas, no Omicrons, and same thing with Admiral Trench. Almost all of his mods are done. And then we've got all the Zetas on him. Again, no Omicrons. Finally getting them. Again, filling some holes. A lot of people asked why Relic 7 for Trench, and that was because, number 1, the rest of his team is all at least at Relic 7. But number 2, I have a feeling with his ship, we're going to need him above that, so I'm just kind of preparing myself. And honestly, at my galactic power, like, everybody kind of needs to go to Relic 7 at this point. We'll get more into that, but I feel like Relic 7 kind of needs to be that stopping point for, and I'm going to call it major characters, because as you guys will see down here, we have Imperial Super Commando and Gar Saxon at Relic 3. Those were new for 3v3 GAC. I was looking at my account and I was like, man, I've got him at Gear 12. I could use Maul Mandalorians on offense to really good effect. And honestly, it's been a great decision. It's really made my Grand Arenas go a lot smoother, given me additional options on attack. So very much like this decision. I really think that adding them was a great move. And honestly, if I take them to Relic 5, I wouldn't hate it. Just kind of trying to recuperate some signal data because I've got some big things ahead. So before we get to the big things ahead, I wanted you guys to be here for a really special event. So my guild is getting ready for additional operations, kind of moving into a new phase of our territory battle strategy. And you know what? It's time I do this. It's been way too long. We're taking Jedi Master Luke to Relic 9. I almost have enough Gerda keypads where I'll have 40 left over, and that's kind of the, where we're at. So just to show you here, if I go to the scrap thing, I could get, if I do 10 of these, and maybe spend a little bit of these. There we go. There's 2. That'll work. Horrible conversion rate. So now I've got 2 extra Gerda keypads there. To keep me up at 60. Again, I want to have at least enough for 2 Relic 9s at all time. I feel like that's a good amount, that if they release something and I need 3, I have time to react. I have time to get ready for it. So guys, here we go. Before I make it anymore, Relic 9 Jedi Master Luke coming your way. First Relic 9 Galactic Legend. It was something I wanted to do for a while. It had really been bothering me. It was one area I was noticing I was always behind on. So now, Jedi Master Luke, 160,000 protection, 132,000 health. Very excited so we can finally put that to bed. Relic 9 Jedi Master Luke first, Relic 9 Galactic Legend, and of course, gotta create a new squad now, right? Gotta give him the love that he deserves here in the actual farm guide. So, very, very happy with this. I think this was is going to be a very good move for me in the long run. Because of the way that I use him, getting him to Relic 9 will just make him a lot more consistent in Grand Arena against certain teams. So thank you guys for your patience as I've worked through getting all of this stuff. Made a lot of big moves there. So with that said, let's kind of get into the shard farming. So shard farming, we are working on Paz Vizsla, IG-12, and Grogu, and we are refreshing Keller and Beck's node. The reason we're refreshing Keller and Beck's node is he is the one I can use immediately. That Paz Vizsla, IG-12, and Grogu, I can't use right away because I don't have that Mandalorian squad built, right? Because I would need Bo-Katan Mandalore. But with Keller and Beck, I can use them right away. So the decision I've made for myself is that I'm going to rush Keller and Beck. We're going to gear him up. We're going to give him whatever Zetas he needs. And then we'll look at Paz Vizsla, IG-12, and Grogu in the light of the Stap and the Gungans and see where we're at, if it makes sense for me to go right into Jar Jar or should I go Bo-Katan Mandalore first. So that's kind of the shard farming process there. And the reason I kind of say that is because I only have 3 Journey Guide characters left. Aphra, Bo, and Jar Jar. So kind of trying to figure out how I can make sure that I get there, because I could get Aphra the fastest. Bo-Katan would be a better farm than Aphra in my opinion. And Jar Jar is going to be the most relevant to the current, not just Datacrons, but the current game when he gets released because of the raids. So I kind of have these decisions to make of easy, medium, hard, but also kind of, the harder it is, the more relevant that character is to the current game. So what my thought process here is that we're going to see how quickly, where these characters go, and what my resources look like, because I might try to do both of these guys if I can. I'd love to be able to do both of them almost at the same time, and I'll show you guys kind of the amount of Zetas and all that stuff I need here in a second. Otherwise, it might be time to do some Night Sisters if I have the time. Like, they don't need a lot of Kyrotech, only 300 Kyrotech here. They've got all their Zetas, so it's really just some signal data. And I don't know how high I would take them up. Maybe to Relic 3 or Relic 5. I don't know if I'd go all the way to 7 yet, because we've got a lot of that stuff coming down the pike. Also, looking at my Imperial Troopers, do I just round them off, kind of give 3 extra Troopers to Iden Versio for 5v5 Grand Arena? Just not sure if I'm willing to make that decision yet. I'm not sure how good that team could be without that 5th member, right? Because I would be short there. And then the other thing I have to do here is build out some options between Jolee, Barriss for my Jedi, and then obviously kind of build up that General Grievous team a little bit. So a lot of stuff kind of on that horizon of just, hey, like looking here, I think is the most likely scenario of putting relics on characters over my Night Sisters. Even though these guys are really good, these two going to be super relevant, and because of what I'm going to be doing with Jedi, I might want some additional Jedi to make a full team for 5v5 again as well. So looking at all of this stuff kind of going into the future. But let's flip over here, and I'm going to move my fat face out of the way just to show you. So I'm going to move my fat face over here. So I made this Google sheet just to kind of explain, hey, here's the character I'm going to be farming. Here's the Kyrotech they need, right? The Mark 7 and the Mark 9. The Zeta mats I need for said character, and then white, green, and blue signal data. This is assuming every single character is going to go to Relic 7. I understand for a lot of you, you're like, why would I do that? It's just the way that I am, that's the point that my account is at, where Relic 7 kind of makes sense for a lot of these guys. So, for just these characters, the ones that get me Bo-Katan Mandalore, Jar Jar, and I've made assumptions for like the Gungan Shield guy, Jar Jar, and then Master Qui-Gon and Padawan Space Jesus, which you guys should obviously pick up on who that is. I made assumptions for them on what I think their gear could be, and I just kind of based it off of like, hey, Jar Jar's going to be harder, Queen Amidala will be harder, and these guys will kind of be normal. So this right here is kind of that, hey, this is what I think I need. And I'm not sure, is Keller and Beck, I forget if he has 2 or 4 Zetas, but maybe this is, I don't know if that's 40 or 20, but either way. that's kind of where I'm looking at right now. So you look at this, I mean, this is 6,000 Chirotech right now that I have ahead of me. I mean, don't even get me started on the signal data. That's so much signal data. And then you look at like the blue signal data is like the most jarring number. And then Zeta mats, I mean, that's 40, you know, what is that? 24 total Zetas. I mean, that's just, it's a lot, right? So how I think I'm going to go about doing this stuff is, again, we start with Keller and Beck, right? You've got to get him. And then I think it's probably going to look at, hey, do I just get Queen Amidala, kind of use some other Galactic Republic characters, and then just start looking at what I can get to without stopping. I think Jar Jar has got to be the overall goal. That if I use Jar Jar as the base, that I have enough stuff to kind of get through that farm, kind of use this. And so what I'll eventually do, and I'm going to flip back over to the game here, right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of expand this spreadsheet a little bit to say, okay, I currently have, where are they at? So I currently have 486 of these Chirotech and 692 here. So what I'll do is I'll go back to that spreadsheet and I'll add in like, hey, here's my current goal, right? So my goal number or my current stash of stuff and what I'm short. So I'd kind of say like, you know, current inventory. So MK, oops, Mark 7, Mark 9, and then I'll just do Zetas for now, right? Like I'm not going to worry about signal data yet because that kind of comes later. And then like just short to needed. And so this would just be equals this minus this. This would be equals this minus this. And then this equals this minus this. So again, you know, we come over here. All right, so now I go back to the game, right? I'm just going to go to the game quick. So I've got 486 of the shock prods. So go here, 486. Come here, 692 of these guys. And then Zetas, I've got 37 of them. So here's my current inventory. So all this means, right, is I've got a lot of work to do, right? So again, short to the numbers that I need here, I'm looking at a lot, right? We need a lot of stuff. But how I'm going to use this is that I can come in here every once in a while, take a look at, hey, if I'm within a certain number and I'm still so many shards short of Jar Jar Binks or, you know, whatever, I can start equipping some things and get Bo-Katan Mandalore. Because I think what my thought here is I might be able to get Bo-Katan and then right afterwards get Jar Jar as long as I'm maintaining this inventory. So I'm really wondering if I just kind of stop gearing stuff for a while, maybe do a bit of Chirotech here and there on characters where I don't need the Zetas. But I think if I really work on this, I can potentially get both of these guys very quickly, especially because it seems Bo-Katan is coming back on a monthly basis. So again, guys, that's the video. You know, that's kind of the update for March 2024. Let me know your thoughts. I love you all so much. Thank you for supporting this channel. I very much appreciate it. Again, if you're still watching, go ahead right now and say Phil needs an absurd amount of Chirotech. I love you guys. May the force be with you, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers, my friends.